mind the enemy at all. I want an enemy. I want an interlocutor. I want somebody who says something different from me and does so wisely. And thankfully, Plato and Rousseau and Kant all write very well, meaning they're very seductive.
Yeah.
Meaning they're hard guys to fight. Okay, that's good. Because I got Nietzsche with me, and I got Hegel with me, and I got probably Aristotle with me too. I dare say so. So I've got a lot of thinkers who are with me. I just study different topics than they did, essentially. I'm not that different from Deleuze, for that matter, either. The guy who speaks the truth is probably going to be attacked by the people who are in, and he's going to be portrayed as if he's out, meaning he's probably right. I'm Scandinavian, and I deal well with the Germans and with the Dutch because we're Germanic peoples. They come from Northern Europe, and we throw things at each other, and we like fucking Vikings, and we throw it all out, and we use harsh words. And the next day we say, I was a bit overdoing it yesterday, but you know what? It's all kept in the digital memory. It's all there. I'm not going to deny that I did it. It's just part of my personal history. Live with it, okay? That's Scandinavian. And what I find problematic with English is that even when they're right, they're still obsessed with tonality and etiquette. England produced theater and drama and everything indirect. They're brilliant at. They're brilliant at humor. They're brilliant at satire. They're brilliant at anything that's indirect. When it comes to direct communication, the English find that incredibly hard to do. And that's why you don't have a rich, pantheon of English philosophers. You have Hume, David Hume, and you have maybe Whitehead. And the rest, Berkeley and Smith and all that, they're pretty embarrassing today. It's just like, no, I'm sorry, but philosophy was taken over by the French and the Germans. And we're doing an attempt in Scandinavia to catch up with them. Yeah. We're not reading English philosophers in Scandinavia. We're reading the Germans and the French. They speak forward. They're not covering it up. They go straight to the point. They point out what's important. They don't walk around and try to be popular or anything like that. I mean, a philosopher who tries to be popular is definitely mediocre. That's why nobody reads Jean-Paul Sartre any longer. Why would you? He was leading the barricades in Paris in 1967. The reason why he was popular, he was leading the barricades, simply because there was nothing there. There wasn't anything there that Heidegger didn't do better to start with. So, we don't care about Sartre any longer. There's a reason. It's not that he's in or out. It's
because he was too much of a fad, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't get right down into the.
Exactly. What you read, Merleau-Ponty survived. He was the only French existentialist you're still interested in today, and he has so much depth. You can go back to Merleau-Ponty and study him again and again and again. You can't do that with Sartre and Camus. He became a novelist. It's just like. The other guys were too interested in being popular in the streets of Paris. They were not interested in doing profound work that would outlast them. And a philosopher doesn't care if he's understood while he's alive. First calling you doing your philosophy is like, maybe I'll say something profound one day.
Yeah.
I'll have one idea. It's brilliant. And it will then be part of the history of philosophy.
Yeah, because it's very hard to have one idea, isn't it? I mean, that's the hardest thing in the world. To actually create one idea, wow. I mean, the Mentor Modernist guys haven't done that. I mean, they've cut and paste. They've cut and pasted a bunch of ideas together and created a bunch of a language or a vocabulary. But
and it's like, well, we're cooler than you are. No, you're not. And if you want to be,
the other guy they were putting down was Jung. Like, those Jungians and those Petersonians and Jung had some ideas certainly, and he wasn't a philosopher maybe, but.
No, I think you and I are doing it wisely, and I think Brendan O'Neill in England gets it. I think what you and I and Brendan have in common is that we all agree that Jordan Peterson has something very important to say, and we're very grateful that he's around, and let him do that first, and let him have his tour. This is the year we go critical about Jordan Peterson. We will only go critical about what people project on him, not what he says. The guy has never been pretentious. He's never pretended to be anything he's not. He hasn't claimed to be the king that people try to make him. He's just pretended to be the priest that he is. Credit to Jordan. The problem is rather the projection on Jordan Peterson that he's going to give you the answer on what you must do in your life going forward. He will not do that, and he can't do that. You can't ask a Canadian prairie nerd for that. He doesn't have the background to be able to say that.
So he opens
the next generation.
He opens up the door. Yeah, as you said.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, he provides a masculine figure in the culture, which has none. I mean, there's almost none, right? I mean, there's a lot of men, but very few of them cry in public, for example, or even shout or have, I don't know how to say that, but there's so many talking heads out there that are so inhuman in some sense. They've just become a language, or they've become a.
They all take advice from communication agencies.
Yeah, they communicate, but they don't speak.
Don't. Yeah, don't. Never, ever. I mean, we should close down advertising completely and ban it outright. So, before it has to kill itself anyway. Advertising is over. Marketing is over.
Well, yeah, it's this obsession with image and what to say and what not to say.
Communication agencies train you to not be yourself. They train you to be theatrical. They train you to always cover your ass, because communication agency employees try to cover their ass at all time and then send you a bill. Now, those are the worst mentors or advisors you can ever have.
Yeah.
Worst ever. They will take away the one thing you should keep, which is your own personality.
Yeah.
Especially in the digital environment. And because Jordan came from out of nowhere, and he was never given advice by a communication agency, when he sat in front of the cameras and the microphones and started talking, we felt, yes, he's real.
Yeah, exactly. It's like seeing somebody real. It's like, oh, wow, somebody real. There's so much unreality out there. It's like,
it's like Jordan Peterson.
It didn't matter.
That's exactly.
It doesn't matter even to me. Almost on some level, it doesn't even matter to me. Well, the content of what he's saying is very important as well. But his authenticity is a much a part of the whole thing as the content.
And authenticity is key to digital, right?
Maybe even
digital
more.
It's all about authenticity and then about quality. So, okay, you
mean authenticity comes first and then quality comes after. So it's not special effects. It's people want to.
Yeah, we're not listening unless somebody's authentic. But when they are authentic and they have something meaningful to say that adds to our knowledge, we will listen more. Then you retract. This is not the age of revolutions. This is not. Digital itself is the revolution, meaning they're not going to be a revolution in the street. Everything you do in the streets, like yellow vests or Occupy, whatever you do, fails. It fails because it's just surrealism. It's just Dadaism. It won't take you anywhere. It becomes a damn T-shirt and a slogan. 3 weeks later, it's over. That's not a way to do things.
Sorry, I didn't quite get what you meant there. Retract. What do you mean by retraction? What do you mean by that? Can you explain that?
Simon Critchley is the philosopher who wrote a book called The Faith of Faithless that inspired us to write Syntheism. I should credit Simon right here. Simon Critchley is a British philosopher, believe it or not, British working class, based in New York, brilliant thinker. Okay, what Simon said that, and he's an anarchist and he came from the left, and he said, everybody out there wants the revolution. They're romanticizing Paris, 1967. They're romanticizing Paris, 1789. None of that's going to happen in our time, and if it happens, it's going to be over in 3 weeks and become a T-shirt and an Instagram picture, nothing else. Because people are not prepared. They don't have staying power. They don't have sustainability. They don't take the long-term view. They don't know what they're doing. Meaning, if you don't know what you're doing, the only thing to do is to realize we live in an age of chaos.
Yeah.
And the only way to understand the chaos and bring order to chaos is to retract. Meaning, you move to the countryside, you build a monastery with your best friends, you connect that monastery to the Wi-Fi, you connect it with the rest of the world, but you also isolate yourself, you concentrate your thinking, you meditate, you contemplate, you study. And then at the drawing board, you start seeing patterns that other people don't see. Suddenly you're getting connected with the other people who see what you see because they've done the same thing. You discover that people create monasteries in North America, in Europe, in Asia, Australia. They will get connected. This movement of people who just step back, lose their ego completely, get fascinated with the world and realize that the only thing of value today is to bring order into chaos. That takes hard work to understand how complex the world is and understand the patterns in this complexity. To then find possible solutions. Okay, that takes retraction. That's what it's called. That's when you say, no, we're going to leave society and move out in the forest and create sustainable monasteries that actually the only stable foundation left in society are going to be the monastery. Everything else will fail.
Well, I've been meditating for years. I mean, I think that's
the first thing to do.
That is retraction, isn't it? I mean, that's retraction, meditation. It's like,
well, the difference between a guy who comes to the door and has bipolarity diagnosis, 23 years old, you know perfectly well, Andrew. The first thing you do is that we're going to try to get you off the medication and see if we can find something else that works better for you. How about meditation? Start there. Focus every morning. Don't have 15 things in your head. Decide one thing you do that one thing, that's it. Then comes the next step.
Yeah. Sure.
No, meditation is absolutely necessary. We cannot concentrate and decide what's important to us unless we do that. The other version of doing that is when you work in the team, is the drawing board. It's incredibly important to me. I do all my lectures with whiteboards and boards. I don't ever do PowerPoint. I hate fucking PowerPoint. It's just so bad. No, I do a board and I draw when I give lectures. I do the same thing with the guys I work with. Philosophy is, believe it or not, done on drawing boards. It's about proportions. It's about priorities. It's about hierarchy. And it's about creating different playing fields. For example, after the printing press in 1450, you get a certain playing field that's being developed through the Enlightenment in Europe in the 1700s, and you get a map. And the guys who got the map, like Napoleon, became the winners. Bismarck, Napoleon, those guys got the map, right? If you get the map, Hegel's map in this case, you get the game. Okay, new era. Digital arrives in the 1980s, changes everything. Blows up everything and digitalizes it. Everything has to become digital or else it dies.
And that flattens the sort of pyramidical structure of a Napoleonic world.
Exactly. In our first book, The Netocrats, that we wrote 20 years ago, we said history has to be understood as different fields of immanence. It's a Deleuze term, the fields of immanence. There's a certain field, there's a certain plan, there's a certain map. If you talk to Jordan Hall and Daniel Smacknamore, these guys in the States, the friends of ours, they haven't probably studied Deleuze. They still talk about games in that case. There's a modern vocabulary for saying the same thing. There's a certain game going on here because there are certain things that make this game necessary to be played in a certain way. There's certain rules you have to follow. If you're going to be powerful in mass media society, you better own or control mass media. You better own and control education, academic institutions. You better own and control capital, because that's the resource, that's the blood of the whole system. And you better own and control the city, because that's where everything's going to take place. And that's where you're going to build the factory on which you build your fortune and your power. And you're going to build a nation state around that city, because you need to plunder the countryside for the workforce, for labor, and for resources. That's how that's how the nation state was invented. Because otherwise, how do you get the resources to the cities? And
now, in a sense, we're moving away from the nation state.
It's
completely
dead.
Right.
It's dead.
Yeah.
It's not about exploitation of resources any longer. It's about just reusage of resources, meaning you can go vertical instead of horizontal. You don't even need a city in that case. It changes everything. The wealthiest countries on the planet today are called Singapore, Hong Kong, and Dubai. They don't even have territory. Why? Because territory is just expensive. It's just transportation. It's fossil fuel. So you can build vertical. So
build vertical.
And that's because we strive towards the digital. So the digital is changing everything. And technologies that go with that, for example, like air conditioning, which made places like Singapore habitable. And also in Canada and Sweden, we can build warm houses where you can spend the winters. You can be there 12 months a year and work really hard and get things done with nature next to you. Okay, that's the perfect lifestyle today. That would be Canada, Norway, and Sweden. So these places survive because they're perfectly fit for the new digital environment. But really, digital is not even about geographical location. It's about a digital geography. It's about how close you are to the people that you want to network with to become more intelligent. And intelligence wants intelligence to fuck intelligence and marry intelligence and become even more intelligent. Meaning a cloud wants to meet another cloud and absorb each other and become a larger cloud if they can just manage that.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
That's what we're going to see. Those concentrations of intelligence.
So again, that means
that humans can interpret it are going to be the most powerful institution we've ever seen.
That means kind of as you say, the death of marketing, right? It's like
exactly.
Yeah, because you don't have to market yourself because whoever you are will be revealed in some sense.
Yeah, if you go into say you go into an architecture studio today in 2019, they just sit and sort of move the building slightly one direction or the other direction. And then all the data next to it, just like, okay, this requires different materials. You can get these materials from here and here and here and here. This is what it's going to cost. This is how long it's going to take to deliver those materials here. And just by changing the building slightly, it suddenly got $500,000 more expensive. Then you change it back slightly, and it got less expensive. So, oh, you saved some money by making it that turn. That's kind of nice. Okay, so you value the overall cost of making the building in a certain way according to the budget you're given, to make the most perfect, wonderful building according to that budget. And you haven't even used a single number, because that's what the computer does for you. This is the perfect example already today of synthetic intelligence. The architect is human, but everything beneath the actual artistic expression is done by the machines. We're going to see that.
Well, part of me feels when I hear that, that is like the apocalypse, although the apocalypse also means revealing or what's there, or.
I love apocalypse. I don't like eschatology, because eschatology is the little boy's dream about the world going under, that's why Rick Kurzweil is an eschatologist and you and I are apocalyptic. But apocalypse just means the drastic revolutionary change. You adapt to the new environment.
Yeah.
Which is an evolution, is absolutely necessary. And that's exactly what digital is. I'm repeating myself again. This is the fourth.
Digital is apocalyptic. Digital is apocalyptic.
Yeah, because so was the printing press. Changed everything. And it suddenly made Europe, of all places, the center of the planet. Unthinkable in 1449.
Yeah. I'm making sort of connections here with biblical stories again. It's like you talked about Babylon, right? So
yeah,
moving into Babylon.
Yeah. But that's where we're heading next, obviously. And for all you out there interested in the true exodus of our time, that's what we're working with. That's the grand narrative. First, you say the narrative is possible. This is how you build it. There are actually 4 different ways of building it. It's always been done. This is how you do it. This is what shamans do. Second, here's what's going to happen if you don't do it. That's digital libido. Since you haven't done anything yet, a large part of this stuff in the book is going to happen. No, it's not Islamist terrorist that's the problem in America. It's your own homeborn terrorist.
So it is almost like a biblical revelation. I'm sorry to keep bringing up the Bible, but it is almost like a biblical revelation where the chosen people get to go through and everybody else gets kind of drowned in the noise.
Yeah, I don't have the responsibility to save humanity because I'm not the matriarch. And even the matriarch doesn't do that. The matriarch just gives you the last warning. She's a damn Margaret Thatcher. She tells you, okay, if you're not moving when I move, you're dead. Okay, I don't have to do that. That's not my job. My job is to point out we have to go there and we can go there. And if you go there, it's going to be so much better than anything we've known before. And those of you who feel the calling and are willing to sacrifice something to join me, come on, here we go. And I'm not the Moses, I'm an Aaron figure, meaning I'm the priest, pointing towards a chieftain or some kind of leader who can lead. That's the exodus we're talking about, the exodus to digital. Okay, a small minority of people, usually people already on the move. My biggest bet today is immigrant women of all kinds. Nigerian women who live in Texas. Iranian women who grew up in Germany who live in Dubai. Those are the guys I study the most right now. They are the winners. Women get it. Women are paranoid and their sensors on all the time. These women have moved to these new city-states. They got the education. They work with real estate and fashion, all kinds of things, make tons of money. And they got really stubborn, tough husbands who go out there and don't take no for an answer, right? They marry Russians. They don't marry Swedish and Canadian men because it's just too right? Yeah. These are the real netocrats. I don't find them in Silicon Valley. I think Silicon Valley was part in creating the foundation of what's happening. But yeah, the Indians and the Chinese are leaving and moving out. And the guys who did the really transformative work in Silicon Valley are going somewhere else already. Question is where they're going. That's interesting. Because you can create the next huge center for digital anywhere on the planet if you even care about it. You can also do it all online today, 100%.
So it doesn't have to have a geographical location, obviously. I mean,
no, obviously, the exact quality of this webcast between you and me, this conversation, would be a little better if we'd been at the same place with one camera to share. But you can do it on Zoom like we just do. And I'm in Stockholm, you're in Paris, and we're still best friends. And we go to London in May and hang out a bit. Then we go back to Paris or Stockholm. We keep doing our Zooms if there's a market for it or whatever. We have an audience. And we keep getting engaged in a conversation where actually the physical location of our two different bodies is not that interesting any longer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're already digital.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well.
There you go.
Yeah.
This is what the machines have done to us.
What I like is that about your story here is that you're not naively progressive, and at the same time you're not conservative or trying to tell us that we need to get back to something. You're going both directions at the same time. You're going forward, but you're also saying we need this deep anthropology to.
Yeah, I talk about two things. I took one thing from the past, which is the tribe, which is still us. So it's not really from the past.
Mm-hmm.
The past is the past. It's of no other interest than to learn from it where we're going to go next. Completely focused on the future, meaning only what we take with us, which is the memory of our own bodies, which is a socio-biological evolutionary programming that worked in the original tribe and that we still have to carry with us for the foreseeable future. Including having bodies that are not fit for space travel. Sorry, Ellen, it's not going to happen. So, yeah, that's what we need to move forward. The rest is machines, who I do not particularly care about. If they're alive or not, they're not alive. They're just machines here to serve us. When you start your ethics, a lot of young guys out there are tempted to be life-centric or biocentric, or because they want to be kind to cows or whatever. They don't want to be cruel or anything like that. But it doesn't matter, because even if you're life-centric, you're still anthropocentric. You start with humans, right? Because you're a human being, you're communicating with other human beings, and nobody except human beings are gonna talk to you or listen to you or be involved in your conversation. We are intra-species, we're within our own species. The only reason I defend human beings is because I'm human myself. If I'd be cockroach, I'd probably be with the cockroaches. If I was a donkey, I'd probably be sided with the donkeys, but we are human, okay? That means to try to include other species or things like that in your ethics and say life is more important than being human. Well, at the end of the day, it's going to be like, okay, so you're going to kill a human to save a dolphin? Why would we care about that? You're just being a scared little boy who's afraid of confronting the honest, factual truth. The truth is that we are human, and we are talking to each other as humans. I'm not a humanist. I'm an anti-humanist like Nietzsche. I know perfectly well a human is not sacred. Humans are not gods. We just happen to be species that happens at least to think that it wants to live, and happens to think that it has some kind of a consciousness, although that is very debatable. And this creature is the creature I am, and you are, and we're talking to ourselves and other humans. And then the question is this one: the planet is there for us. We are not there for the planet. We are not there to serve a certain goddess. If you call the planet the goddess, it's only because you put a name on the container, because we have to find a sustainable way for us as humans to live on this planet. That's not about harmony and balance, for God's sake. It's about sustainability in itself, in its pure form, meaning we might just as well try to avoid climate disaster if we can. We should do our utmost to do that, because we also have to then later learn how to avoid the next ice age. We have to turn the planet into a garden instead of wild nature, if we're going to contain a planet with 10 or 20 or 30 billion people on it.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
Yeah, which is perfectly feasible. So to me, to build the Tower of Babel today means stay on this planet. It's on the planet we create that. And if we need to create a huge temple somewhere for people to believe that this is the planet we should stay on, then let's do that. But ever since 1958, we got the first photograph of the planet from outer space. We've been really thrilled about seeing ourselves from outer space, discovering that this tiny planet is all we have. The rest is just cold and full of radiation, and certainly not habitable for human beings, and not meant for us at all. We must be here for a long, long, long time to come. That's all. That to me is the ultimate story of our age. It's just because the story is always Tower of Babel, but it's also hubris. It's like, where's the hubris here? And I think the Platonists out there are always the ones who have the hubris. The guys,
I want to ask you about that. Like, what is a good utopian vision that isn't hubristic?
It is Ecotopia. That's the name for it. And Ecotopia means...
Call it Ecotopia.
Yeah, that's the planet that's better than the current one. I'm not sure everybody's going to be on that planet, but we probably will make space for most people to be on the planet. Whether everybody will be wealthy and some people will be poor, or whether people will be connected or disconnected, we don't know that yet. But all I know is that the people who don't even make an effort to be part of this planet, who don't even make an effort to stand up and move when we need to move, who don't do their utmost to educate themselves and to prepare themselves for the requirement that we would put on humans to be part of this way more intelligent world than the one we had before. Well, those who are not prepared to be part of it and think they're just going to be around, why would we care for them? If they don't even make an effort, why would I care for people who turn themselves into victims and don't even want to make an effort? I don't think Jordan Peterson even dares to talk about this, but I do. And I think we have to.